I know it's been a tough week in the market, so I thought I would bring you guys 12 more amazing setups that we're going to look at today. And I've gone through the depths of my database to find you guys some really good ones that I don't think you'll have. So let's get right into the video. Kicking it off with AVD earlier this year. If we look at this stock here, we can see the 200-day, it comes above it on some good volume on earnings. All the volume starts picking up, lots of green days coming in, and we're well above any kind of resistance here. It starts pulling back. And look at that. I mean, we need to ingrain this in our brain. Check this out. Look at how tight it gets right there along the 10-day as well. And sure enough, the next day we get a nice breakout with some amazing follow through. Take in mind, this is in 2022, so this was not a great market either. So let's go ahead and check what we get here. We get around 4% gain as far as close below a 10-day, but at the height it was 15%. But either way, this is a great setup, and we need to memorize these. So that was AVD. Next, we have Pten from 2020. So this thing makes a nice substantial move off the low, about 140%. And then it pulls back to the 20-day, starts getting a little tight right here. And this is when we should have been on this stock and been very interested. So it looks like the range is around something like this. And then it's making some higher lows through here. And it's just overall pretty tight. Then we get a very nice gap out of range, huge day, not a whole lot of volume, but it was very convincing price action, and sure enough, it had some nice moves. So at the height of it, it went around 25%, but it ended up closing way below around 5%. So overall, you would have had a nice little 15% gain on this position, but a really nice setup. All right, fast forward to 2022 Pten, and this thing started to set up at the beginning of this year, and check this out here. So it's a little bit more difficult. It was pretty choppy, but there is a range there that is kind of visible. It's making some higher lows, putting in some nice consolidation, and it gaps up, and then it has a very nice breakout day. And like we said, the market is not great, but it did have some okay follow through, and you would have been up around 16% before closing up around 4%. So this was a good setup too. It would have been a positive trade. Let's take a look at TNK way back in 2019. So a very flat base, flat 200-day, and then boom, explosion. Volume comes in, it starts making moves. It pretty much doubles, and then it doesn't give us a good setup here, but on this next kind of leg, it starts consolidating, bounces right off the 20. It's making some higher lows in there, and so the range is somewhere around here, and that is what we're looking for. Probably looked a lot cleaner on the hourly, but it gets a nice breakout day and has some good follow through. So you almost would have gotten stopped out there, but you would have made it if you were on the low of the day. And let's see how far this thing goes. So at the height of the move is around 30%. And then you would have closed up around 18%. So very nice trade. Next trade, BPT from this year as well. I want to show you guys that you can still find good setups in bad markets, but it takes some effort. So here we have BPT. It makes a nice move up on a ton of volume, way more compared to all this consolidating in here. So this stock is alive. It goes from $4 all the way up to around 11 and 12. And then it gives us a very interesting range. So this one was a little bit tougher here, but when you get these stocks, sometimes you gotta kind of squeeze them down to see the range a lot cleaner when they make big moves like these, higher ADRs. But there was definitely a range there, and it was a bonus because it gapped out, so it was very clean breakout. So this thing had some good follow through as well. At the height of the move, it was around 54%. You probably would have actually gotten less than that because you would have entered up here. So you would have been around 50%, and you would have closed at 17%. So fantastic trade there from BPT. Now let's take a look at CRK from this year as well. This thing has a very nice long consolidating base, and then starts kind of a stage 2 uptrend here, but it doesn't get very tight. It stays pretty loose, but it does have a nice top side of the range. So it breaks out, gaps out, and then instantly gets just rallied straight down. But it starts kind of putting in another range again, and I'm trying to get better at trading these 50-day type trades. So this is kind of the range that I would see here, but it did come down above 50-day, make higher lows, so there is a setup there. And then it's just tough whether you would buy it on this day or the next day, or even get in early like that. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but in hindsight, this was the cleanest range. But either way, we had a breakout, and it made a very nice move in the middle of a bad market. So either way, you made around 32% all the way up to the highs, but it ended up closing around 20% up. All right, here we have Velo from this year as well. At the start of the year, the thing is up 100%, and then it comes back down, starts surfing this 20-day and putting in a range right here. So let's see what happens on the breakout. So we get a breakout and it starts moving up. Some really decent follow through, but it's unfortunate that the gap down was pretty vicious. So if you would have caught the top, it would have been around 15%, but you would have came back down to 5 or 4%, netting you around 10% trade if you played it perfectly. But yeah, the setup was there. The setup was nice in my book. All right, now let's take a look at Ctic from this year too. So we have a big explosion on volume, kind of like an EP type thing, but it wasn't a great range, so not really a tradable EP, but it produces a really nice move in price. So this thing makes 60-70% move in about a week or two. Then it starts coming back down, getting near the 20-day, and the range here is tough on this one as well, but it looks a little something like this would be around the average, but I do like how it was making higher lows, and we did get a nice tight day right before the breakout. So if you've been watching it, this looks really nice, just flat, and then all of a sudden wakes up, makes a move. But the follow through was not good on this as well. If you would have got in here, you only would have made, I guess, around 10%. It is a higher ADR, so around 10% or so, and you would have got stopped out probably at break even. And so yeah, not a great trade, but it was a decent setup. All right, let's take a look at a classic setup here, Futu from 2020. So this thing makes a monstrous move. So if we go ahead and check, it is up around 165%, just clean moving averages going 45-degree angles. It starts to get a little choppy. I mean, the stock in general moves kind of weird, gaps up and down a lot, but there was absolutely a range here, and what made this such a good setup is the fact that it comes back above the 10-day, puts in a tight day right here in this range, and then gaps way out, gives us a nice clean entry, clean stop loss, and has some decent follow through on it there. So it goes around 30% at the height of the move, but it closes around 10% up. So really not bad trade there. All right, let's take a stab at a kind of longer consolidation looking at DQ Energy from 2020, late 2020. And this thing is up very nice on the year, around 280, 300%, and it gives us a nice just rest. The stock takes a break and it's very choppy, but like the range here is somewhere like this, or you could do it even higher and buy on this day. So that's probably what I would have been watching for, is something like that, because it is moving very choppy, but it's making higher lows, surfing that 10-day, doesn't come below it, it bounces straight back up when it did that one day, and then it has a pretty clean breakout day. And let's go ahead and check what the follow through was. Not a whole lot of follow through, but it made a pretty nice move in a short time frame, up almost 44% and closed around 16%. So yeah, you actually could have possibly gotten back in here for another setup. But yeah, I like this one better. I'm trying to work on the longer consolidations, getting better at seeing those. All right, let's take a stab at Axsm. This stock is currently kind of setting up too. So let's take a look at its history and see what's going on here. So something is going on here. The stock gaps up from $3 all the way up to $9, triples in one day, puts in a nice setup there that doesn't have much follow through, but it continues to just making a move higher and higher. So it attempts to set up here, a little too short consolidation, but it could have been tradable as well, and it just continues to make some moves. So this is where it looks interesting to me. Something like this, you could argue you would get in here and get on that, but you probably would have been stopped out on this day. But as it continues to consolidate and puts in 2 tight days there, and then it starts making a move up, that's when I kind of wanted to get in on this stock. So let's go ahead and take a look and see in the follow through. Goes up around 60% and then closes below the 10-day here at 40%. So very nice move. Now moving on to PDD in 2020. So it has a nice long consolidation. It's up from around $20 all the way up to $45, looking back, a year back. and then it's making a nice move with this moving average going 45 degrees up here, and then it's a little choppy, you know, being a Chinese stock, but this is the kind of range that I'm looking for, and we get 2 tight days up here above the 10-day, a clean bounce off the 20-day, and then, as we always like to see, a great gap up and then a nice breakthrough day. So let's go ahead and check the follow through on this. If you would have got in here, top of the move would have been 30%, and you would have been stopped out somewhere around here at 13%. So overall, not a bad trade. Taking a look at Goss from last month. So this thing has a huge volume spike, goes from $7 up to $12 in the matter of a couple days, then pulls back and puts in a decent range. It just gets so loose right here. This is the issue, and this is why I didn't trade it. But I want to get better at this because for the fact that it gapped out of range and gave a nice entry. So it's a low risk, and the stock is above the 200, has some power behind it. Like, this is one I feel like Stock B would have taken, and this is one that I need to be in on next time. And it had some decent follow through, so it made a move pretty much up to 20%, and then closed below the 10 at around 13, or even here at 15. But these are all just my opinions, guys. I hope you got some value from this video and saw some new setups you haven't seen before, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.